The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Galactic Empire's scout ship, the Stargazer. Captain Zorn, a seasoned explorer with scales that shimmered like polished emeralds, stood on the bridge. His 4 eyes scanned the screens, searching for anything of interest in this unexplored sector. "Sir, we're picking up unusual readings from the third planet of this system," reported Lieutenant Vex, her tentacles dancing over the control panel. Zorn's interest piqued. "Show me." A holographic image of a blue and green planet appeared before them. White clouds swirled across its surface, and the signs of civilization were clear even from this distance. "Life signs?" Zorn asked, his voice a low rumble. Vex's eyes widened as she analyzed the data. "Billions, sir." "And they're advanced." The bridge fell silent. Discovering new life forms wasn't uncommon, but finding an advanced civilization that the Empire hadn't encountered before, that was rare. "Take us closer," Zorn ordered, "but maintain stealth protocols. We don't want to alert them to our presence." As the Stargazer entered the planet's orbit, the crew watched in fascination. They saw sprawling cities, networks of roads, and even primitive spacecraft exploring their own solar system. "They call their planet Earth," Vex announced, having decrypted some of the radio signals. "And they call themselves humans." Zorn nodded, his mind racing with the implications of this discovery. The Empire always sought to expand its influence, and a new advanced species could be a valuable addition, or a potential threat. "Begin full analysis," he commanded. "I want to know everything about their technology, their military capabilities, their social structures, everything." For days, the Stargazer orbited Earth, its advanced sensors gathering enormous amounts of data. The crew watched broadcasts, intercepted communications, and marveled at the diversity of human culture. "Sir, you need to see this," Vex called out on the third day. She pulled up a series of images on the main screen. They showed human spacecraft, weapons systems, and scientific achievements. Zorn studied the images carefully. "How does their technology compare to ours?" "They're advancing rapidly, sir," Vex replied, a note of concern in her voice. "At their current rate of progress, they could rival some of our capabilities within a few decades." The captain's scales rippled with unease. A species advancing this quickly could become a serious challenger to the Empire's dominance if left unchecked. "Prepare a full report," Zorn ordered. "We're heading back to Imperial space immediately. The Council needs to know about this." As the Stargazer broke orbit and entered faster than light travel, Zorn couldn't shake off a feeling of foreboding. He had seen many worlds and many species in his long career, but something about these humans unsettled him. Weeks later, in the gleaming capital of the Galactic Empire, the High Council convened to hear the Stargazer's report. The chamber was filled with representatives from 1,000 worlds, each unique in their biology and culture, but all united under the Empire's banner. Captain Zorn stood before them, his voice steady as he described their discovery. He spoke of Earth's beauty, of human ingenuity, and of their rapid technological advancement. As he finished, a murmur ran through the chamber. Emperor Xalax, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate metallic shell, leaned forward on his throne. "And what is your assessment, Captain?" The Emperor's voice boomed. "Are these humans a threat or an opportunity?" Zorn paused, weighing his words carefully. "They are both, Your Majesty. Their potential is immense, but so is the danger they could pose if left to develop unchecked." The Council erupted in debate. Some argued for immediate contact, to welcome humanity into the galactic community. Others called for caution, for further observation before any action was taken. But it was General Krav, the Empire's most decorated military leader, who silenced the chamber with his gravelly voice. "We cannot risk allowing another power to rise," he growled. "History has shown us the cost of such hesitation. I say we subjugate them now, while we still hold the advantage." Emperor Xalax considered this, the energy within his shell swirling in contemplation. Finally, he spoke. The general's words hold wisdom. We shall prepare our forces. The humans will be given a choice. Join us willingly or face the consequences. Either way, the Galactic Empire shall grow stronger. As the council adjourned and preparations for war began, Captain Zorn couldn't help but wonder if they were underestimating these humans. He had seen something in them, a spark of defiance and innovation that both impressed and terrified him. Little did the Empire know, their decision would set in motion a conflict that would change the face of the galaxy forever. The massive war room of the Imperial flagship Devastator buzzed with activity. Holographic displays showed the Earth from every angle, with key military and civilian targets highlighted in angry red. General Krav, his rough gray skin glistening under the harsh lights, surveyed the room with his 3 eyes, each one cybernetically enhanced for strategic analysis. "Status report," he growled. A young officer, her skin a pale blue, stepped forward. "Sir, our fleet is at 85% readiness. We expect to reach full combat strength within 2 Earth weeks." Krav nodded, his expression grim. "And our intelligence on the humans' defenses?" "Limited, sir," the officer admitted. "Their technology interferes with our long-range scans. We'll need to get closer for accurate readings." The general's cybernetic eyes wared as they focused on the holographic Earth. "Risky. We can't alert them to our presence." "Not yet." He paused, then added, "Double the production of stealth probes. I want eyes on every major human settlement before we strike." As the Empire prepared for war, life on Earth continued, blissfully unaware of the looming threat. In Houston, Texas, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her computer screen, her eyes wide with excitement. The data from the new Deep Space Telescope was unlike anything she'd seen before. "Hey, Mike," she called to her colleague. "Come look at this." Dr. Mike Okonkwo hurried over, his lab coat fluttering. "What is it, Sarah?" "These signals," she pointed to a series of spikes on her screen. "They're not random. There's a pattern here." Mike leaned in, his brow furrowed. "Are you saying?" Sarah nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "I think we've just detected our first sign of extraterrestrial intelligence. Thousands of miles away, in a top-secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Amanda Hayes received an urgent message." Her weathered face grew serious as she read the report. "Get me the president," she ordered her aide. "Now." Within the hour, leaders from around the world were connected in an emergency video conference. The atmosphere was tense as General Hayes briefed them on the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words, "our deep space monitoring stations have detected large objects moving at impossible speeds just beyond Pluto's orbit. We believe these may be extraterrestrial vessels." A stunned silence followed, broken by the Russian president. "Are you certain, General? Could this be some sort of natural phenomenon?" Hayes shook her head. "The movements are too precise, too coordinated. This is artificial, and it's heading our way." The Chinese premier leaned forward. "What are our options?" "Limited," Hayes admitted. "Our space-based defenses are still in their infancy. If these are hostile aliens with advanced technology, we're outgunned." The U.S. president, her face etched with concern, spoke up. "We need to prepare for all scenarios. General, initiate Protocol Omega, and someone get me Neil deGrasse Tyson on the line. If we're about to meet ET, I want our best minds on this." As the meeting adjourned, a flurry of activity erupted across the globe. Military bases went on high alert, scientists were rushed to secure facilities, and governments began the delicate task of preparing their citizens for the possibility of first contact. In orbit around Mars, the crew of the International Mars colony ship Ares received an encrypted message from Earth. Captain Yuki Tanaka read it aloud to her crew, her voice trembling slightly. "All deep space missions are hereby recalled. Return to Earth immediately. This is not a drill." Back on the Devastator, General Krav reviewed the latest intelligence reports. A cruel smile played on his lips as he watched recordings of human news broadcasts, filled with speculation about the strange signals detected in deep space. "Ignorant creatures," he muttered. "They have no idea what's coming." An aide approached, saluting smartly. "Sir, we've intercepted communications suggesting the humans are recalling their space missions. They may suspect our presence." Crab's cybernetic eyes wared as he processed this information. "It changes nothing. They're centuries behind us technologically. Their suspicions are irrelevant." He turned to face the massive view screen showing the blue-green orb of Earth. "Prepare the invasion force. We strike in 3 days." As the Empire's war machine rumbled to life, humanity stood on the brink of a conflict that would determine its very existence. The stage was set for a battle that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The sky above New York City erupted in a dazzling display of light. Massive ships, each larger than the tallest skyscrapers, broke through the clouds. Their sleek alien designs gleamed in the morning sun, a sight both beautiful and terrifying. On the streets below, chaos erupted. Cars screeched to a halt, their drivers gaping at the sky. Pedestrians pointed and shouted, some running in panic while others stood frozen in awe. Sarah Chen, the astronomer who first detected the alien signals, stood in Times Square, her heart pounding. "It's really happening," she whispered, her voice lost in the growing cacophony around her. Across the globe, similar scenes unfolded. The alien fleet appeared over every major city simultaneously, a show of force that left no doubt about their technological superiority. In the Oval Office, the U.S. President gripped the edge of her desk, her knuckles white. "Get me in touch with our allies," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "And someone find out if these aliens can understand us." As if in answer to her question, every screen on Earth, from smartphones to giant billboards, suddenly flickered to life. The image of General Krav, his alien features harsh and intimidating, filled each display. "People of Earth," his voice boomed in perfect English, translated by advanced AI. "I am General Krav of the Galactic Empire. Your planet now stands at a crossroads." In homes, offices, and on the streets, billions watched in stunned silence as the alien continued. "For too long, you have developed unchecked, your potential a threat to galactic stability. Today that ends. You have 2 choices: submit to imperial rule and enjoy the benefits of our advanced civilization, or face annihilation." The general's eyes narrowed, his voice growing colder. "You have 24 hours to surrender. Choose wisely." As the transmission cut off, the world erupted into panic. Social media exploded with theories and reactions. Government hotlines were flooded with calls. In some cities, looting began as people prepared for the worst. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, an emergency session was called. World leaders, many still in shock, gathered to decide the fate of humanity. The Chinese president spoke first, his voice grave. "We cannot hope to fight them. Their technology is far beyond ours. Surrender may be our only option for survival." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly, but the Russian president stood, her eyes flashing. "And become slaves? No, we must fight, even if it means our destruction. Better to die free than live under alien rule." Debate raged for hours, the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. As the deadline approached, a consensus seemed impossible. Meanwhile, in a secret bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Amanda Hayes paced nervously. Surrounded by banks of computers and anxious staff, she awaited word from the UN. A young lieutenant approached, saluting sharply. "Ma'am, we're picking up movement from the alien fleet. They're deploying smaller craft." Hayes's eyes narrowed. "Invasion forces." The lieutenant shook his head. "No, ma'am. They appear to be construction drones. They're building something in orbit." On screens around the room, they watched as swarms of alien machines began assembling massive structures in Earth's orbit. Within hours, A ring of alien technology encircled the planet. It's a blockade, Hayes realized, her heart sinking. They're cutting us off from space. As the 24-hour deadline neared its end, the UN finally reached a decision. With heavy hearts, they drafted a response to the alien ultimatum. Back in the Oval Office, the U.S. President received the UN's decision. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what came next. With a nod to her communications director, she began a worldwide broadcast. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her voice somber. "Today we face the greatest challenge in human history. The choice before us is impossible: submission or destruction." She paused, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But we are humanity. We have faced impossible odds before and triumphed. Today, we choose to fight." As her words echoed across the globe, a mix of fear and determination swept through humanity. In the alien flagship above, General Krav received the humans' response. His cybernetic eyes weird as a cruel smile spread across his face. "So be it," he growled. "Let the war begin." With that, the first shots of an interstellar war were fired, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The world held its breath as the alien ships loomed overhead. In Washington, D.C., inside a fortified war room, global leaders gathered for an emergency summit. The air was thick with tension. "We need a united front," the U.S. President declared, her voice firm. "Our only chance is to work together." The Chinese premier nodded. "Agreed. But how do we fight an enemy so advanced?" A tall man in a lab coat stepped forward. It was Dr. Rajesh Patel, head of a secret international science team. "We may have a solution," he said, his eyes glinting with excitement. All eyes turned to him as he continued. "For years, we've been reverse engineering technology from crashed UFOs. We kept it secret to prevent panic. Now, it might save us." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. The Russian president leaned forward, intrigued. "What exactly do you have, Doctor?" Dr. Patel pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed sleek fighter jets and powerful energy weapons. "We call it Project Phoenix. It's not as advanced as the alien tech, but it's our best shot." The room erupted in discussion. Some leaders were angry about the secrecy, others excited about the possibilities. In the end, they all agreed. Project Phoenix would be humanity's shield. Meanwhile, in orbit, the alien fleet prepared for their first strike. General Krav watched Earth's major cities through a view screen, his cybernetic eyes calculating targets. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Show these primitives the might of the Empire." As alien ships descended towards Earth's atmosphere, they met an unexpected resistance. Hidden bases around the world opened, revealing squadrons of advanced human fighters. In the skies over London, Sarah Chen found herself piloting one of these fighters. Just days ago, she was an astronomer. Now she was humanity's first line of defense. "This is Falcon 1, she radioed, her voice shaky but determined. "Engaging alien craft over the Thames." Her fighter zipped through the air, far more agile than any known human aircraft. Energy beams shot from its wings, striking an alien ship. To everyone's surprise, the alien vessel's shields flickered. "It's working," Sarah shouted. "Their shields aren't invincible." Similar scenes played out across the globe. Human fighters, while outnumbered, managed to hold their own against the alien invaders. It wasn't a victory, but it was hope. On the ground, another battle was taking place. Dr. Mike Okonkwo, Sarah's colleague, led a team of hackers in a secret facility. "Keep pushing," he urged his team. "We need to break their encryption." Sweat dripped down his face as his fingers flew across the keyboard. Suddenly, his screen flashed green. "I'm in," he yelled. For a brief moment, they had access to the alien fleet's communication network. It wasn't much, but it was enough to intercept crucial tactical data. Back in the war room, leaders watched the battles unfold with a mix of fear and pride. General Amanda Hayes pointed to a map of alien movements. They're strong, but not invincible. We've already taken down several of their ships. The U.S. president nodded, her face grim but determined. What about civilian casualties? Lower than expected, Hayes replied. Our early warning systems are working. Most major cities have been partially evacuated. As they spoke, reports came in from around the world. Rio de Janeiro had repelled an attack. Moscow's energy shield, another secret project, had held against alien bombardment. In Tokyo, civilians were fighting back with hastily modified tech. The alien fleet, caught off guard by the unexpected resistance, began to regroup. General Crab's face contorted with rage as he received reports of human victories. Impossible, he snarled. These primitives should have fallen within hours. He turned to his second-in-command. Prepare the planet killer. If we can't have this world, no one will. As the massive alien weapon charged up, a young human hacker intercepted the transmission. The message raced across human networks. Earth's destruction was imminent. In the war room, silence fell as they received the news. The U.S. president stood, her voice unwavering. We knew this might happen. Initiate Operation Starfall. Around the world, hidden missile silos opened. But these weren't ordinary missiles. They were humanity's secret weapon, built with reverse-engineered alien tech. As the alien planet killer prepared to fire, hundreds of advanced human missiles streaked into the sky. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, with humanity's last, desperate counterstrike racing against time. The war for Earth had only just begun, and against all odds, humanity was fighting back. The sky above Earth turned into a dazzling light show as Operation Starfall launched. Hundreds of missiles, glowing with strange energy, streaked towards the alien fleet. On the ground, millions watched with bated breath. In her fighter jet, Sarah Chen gasped as she saw the missiles pass by. They're beautiful, she whispered, then shook her head. Focus, Sarah. You've got a job to do. She banked hard, dodging alien fire as she led her squadron towards the massive planet killer ship. Their mission, to provide cover for the missiles. Aboard the alien flagship, General Crab's eyes widened in shock. Impossible, he roared. How do they have this technology? His second-in-command, Vex, frantically worked the controls. Sir, our shields can't stop all of them. We need to retreat. Crab snarled, slamming his fist on the console. Never. Intensify forward firepower. We'll destroy their world or die trying. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. Alien ships fired desperately at the incoming missiles, creating spectacular explosions. But for every missile they destroyed, 2 more slipped through. On the planet's surface, the battle raged on. In New York, Dr. Mike Okonkwo led a team of hackers, working furiously to disrupt alien communications. We're in, he shouted, pumping his fist. Uploading the virus now. Across the alien fleet, ship after ship suddenly lost power, their systems corrupted by human ingenuity. Meanwhile, in Moscow, a different kind of weapon was being unleashed. Dr. Anastasia Petrova stood before a massive Tesla coil, her wild gray hair standing on end from the static. Now we show them the power of human science, she said with a grin. She pulled a lever, and a massive bolt of lightning shot into the sky, frying alien ships unlucky enough to be in its path. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In Rio, samba dancers turned soldiers used sound-based weapons to disrupt alien sensors. In Tokyo, giant mecha suits, long thought to be mere anime fantasy, stomped through the streets, swatting alien craft from the sky. Back in space, Sarah's squadron had reached the planet killer. This is it, people, she radioed. Let's give those missiles a clear shot. Her fighters darted and weaved around the massive ship, drawing its fire. Sarah's hands were steady on the controls, her mind clear despite the chaos around her. She'd trained for this, even if she hadn't known it at the time. A missile streaked past her, heading straight for the planet killer's main weapon. Yes. Sarah cheered, but her joy was short-lived. The missile exploded against the ship's shields, which flickered but held. No, 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 Sarah muttered. They were so close. Suddenly, her radio crackled to life. This is the ISS, a voice said. We're in position. Sarah's eyes widened. The International Space Station, which everyone thought had been evacuated, slowly moved into view. It was on a collision course with the planet killer. What are you doing? Sarah cried out. Giving Earth a fighting chance, the voice replied calmly. It's been an honor serving with you all. The ISS, humanity's longtime outpost in space, rammed into the planet killer at full speed. The impact was tremendous, finally shattering the alien ship's shields. Now, Sarah yelled, fire everything. The remaining missiles found their mark. The planet killer erupted in a series of explosions, breaking apart in a spectacular display. On the alien flagship, General Krav watched in disbelief as his superweapon was destroyed. This cannot be happening, he stammered. Vex approached him cautiously. Sir, we've lost a third of our fleet. Perhaps we should consider. No, Krav roared. I will not be defeated by these primitives. His cybernetic eyes whirred as he formulated a new plan. Prepare for ground assault. We'll take this planet the old-fashioned way. As escape pods and dropships began to launch from the alien fleet, Sarah flew her battered fighter back to Earth. The battle in space was over, but she knew the war was far from won. On the ground, world leaders received the news of their victory in space with cautious optimism. We've won the first round, the U.S. president said, her face grim. But now we face an enemy desperate and cornered. May God help us all. As alien forces began to land, humanity prepared for the next phase of the war. The battle for Earth was about to get up close and personal. The streets of New York City were eerily quiet. Abandoned cars littered the roads, and the usual bustle of the Big Apple was replaced by an unsettling silence. Suddenly, that silence was shattered by the sound of heavy footsteps. A group of human soldiers, led by Sarah Chen, crouched behind an overturned bus. Sarah, now a ground commander, peered around the edge, her eyes widening at the sight before her. A massive alien walker, standing 3 stories tall, stomped down the street. Its metal legs crushed everything in its path, while energy weapons mounted on its sides fired at any sign of movement. Okay, team, Sarah whispered, remember the plan. We can't match their firepower, but we can outsmart them. On her signal, her team scattered. They moved swiftly through the ruins of the city, using the urban landscape to their advantage. The alien walker, designed for open combat, struggled to track the nimble humans in the cluttered environment. Across the globe, similar scenes played out. In the dense jungles of Brazil, native tribes armed with poison darts dipped in a substance deadly to alien biology ambushed unsuspecting invaders. In the scorching deserts of Egypt, human forces used the intense heat and sandstorms to their advantage, disorienting the aliens' advanced sensors. Back in New York, Dr. Michael Conquo sat in a makeshift lab, surrounded by alien tech salvaged from downed ships. He wiped sweat from his brow as he worked feverishly to unlock its secrets. Eureka! He suddenly shouted, startling his team. I've cracked their comm system. We can listen in on their chatter. Within hours, human forces worldwide were eavesdropping on alien communications. The advantage was immediate and significant. Meanwhile, in Moscow, Dr. Anastasia Petrova had made a breakthrough of her own. She stood before a group of world leaders, holding up a small device. This, she said with a grin, is our secret weapon. It emits a frequency that disrupts their neural implants. One burst, and their cyborg soldiers become useless. The leaders looked at each other, hope dawning on their faces for the first time in weeks. In orbit, the remnants of the alien fleet regrouped. General Krav, his cybernetic eyes glowing with fury, addressed his troops. These humans are more resilient than we thought, he growled. But we are the Galactic Empire. We will not be defeated by primitives. But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his mind. Reports from the ground were troubling. Human guerrilla tactics were taking a heavy toll on his forces. And now, inexplicably, entire squads of his cyborg troops were shutting down. On Earth, the tide was turning. In London, Big Ben chimed for the first time since the invasion began, a sound of defiance that echoed across the city. In Tokyo, civilians emerged from shelters, joining the fight with improvised weapons and sheer determination. Sarah's team in New York had finally reached their target. They stood at the base of the alien walker, its massive form looming over them. "Now," Sarah shouted. Her team sprang into action. They attached strange devices to the walker's legs, devices that Dr. Okonkwo had crafted from reverse-engineered alien tech. With a push of a button, the devices activated. The walker's legs suddenly went rigid. It tried to move, but couldn't. Then, slowly, it began to topple. "Run," Sarah yelled. Her team scattered as the massive machine crashed to the ground, shaking the earth. As the dust settled, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "One down," she said. "A few hundred more to go." The news of the walker's fall spread quickly. It was a small victory, but it ignited a spark of hope that spread like wildfire. In Washington, D.C., the U.S. President addressed the nation. "My fellow citizens," she said, her voice firm, "the road ahead is long and difficult. But make no mistake, we are turning the tide. Humanity will prevail." Her words were met with cheers and renewed determination. All around the world, humans pushed back against their invaders with increasing success. In his flagship, General Krav received report after report of human victories. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something he had never experienced before: fear. As Earth's defenders celebrated their growing list of victories, they knew the war was far from over. But for the first time since the invasion began, they dared to believe that they might actually win. The battle for Earth raged on, with humanity's ingenuity and determination pitted against the aliens' advanced technology. The outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: the humans would not go down without a fight. The sun rose over a battered but unbroken Earth. Smoke still rose from the ruins of many cities, but amid the destruction, a new sound could be heard: the sound of hope. In New York, Sarah Chen stood atop the fallen alien walker, now repurposed as a command center. She looked out over the city, a determined smile on her face. "Status report," she called out. Her second-in-command, a young soldier named Alex, jogged up. "Ma'am, we've just received word. The last alien stronghold in Siberia has fallen. We've won." Cheers erupted around them. Sarah closed her eyes, letting the moment sink in. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had prevailed. Thousands of miles away, in the depths of space, General Krav stared out the viewport of his flagship. Earth grew smaller as they retreated, his cybernetic eyes zooming in on the blue planet one last time. "I don't understand," he muttered. "How could we lose to such primitives?" His second-in-command, Vex, stepped forward cautiously. "Sir, perhaps we underestimated them. Their adaptability, their unity in the face of overwhelming odds. It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Krav turned, his face a mixture of anger and grudging respect. "Send a message to the Emperor. Earth is unsuitable for conquest. Let them have their victory. For now." As the alien fleet disappeared into the depths of space, Earth began the long process of recovery and preparation. In Washington, D.C., world leaders gathered for a historic summit. The U.S. President stood at the podium, her face showing the wear of months of war, but her eyes shining with pride. "Today, we celebrate not just the victory of one nation, but the triumph of our entire species," she declared. "We faced extinction, and instead, we found unity. We discovered strengths we never knew we had." She paused, looking out over the diverse crowd of global leaders. "But our work is not done. We know now that we are not alone in the universe, and not all our cosmic neighbors are friendly. We must prepare. In the days that followed, a new era of cooperation dawned on Earth. Old rivalries were set aside as humanity focused on a common goal: to take their place among the stars. Dr. Mike Okonkwo led an international team of scientists, working tirelessly to unlock the secrets of alien technology. In a lab built from the remains of an alien ship, he held up a glowing device. "This," he announced to a group of awestruck colleagues, "is the key to faster-than-light travel. With this, the stars are within our reach." Meanwhile, in Moscow, Dr. Anastasia Petrova put the finishing touches on Earth's new planetary defense system. She stepped back, admiring the massive array of satellites and ground-based weapons. "Let them come," she said with a grin. "Next time, we'll be ready." Sarah Chen found herself in a new role, commander of Earth's first interstellar warship. As she walked through the corridors of the ESS Defiant, built with a mix of human ingenuity and adapted alien tech, she marveled at how far they'd come. "Captain on deck," a voice called out as she entered the bridge. Her crew snapped to attention, a diverse group representing every nation on Earth. "At ease," Sarah said, taking her place in the captain's chair. "Status report." "All systems green, Captain," her first officer replied. "We're ready for our maiden voyage." Sarah nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation filling her. "Then let's make history. Helm, set course for Alpha Centauri. It's time we introduced ourselves to the galaxy." As the Defiant rose from Earth's surface, crowds gathered to watch. Cheers echoed across the planet as the ship accelerated, then disappeared in a flash of light, faster than any human had traveled before. On a distant planet, in the heart of the Galactic Empire, the Emperor received Crab's message. His many eyes blinked in surprise, then narrowed in interest. "So," he mused, "Earth resisted. How? Intriguing." He turned to his advisors. "Keep watching this planet. These humans may yet have a role to play in galactic affairs." As Earth took its first steps into a larger universe, the planet buzzed with a new energy. They had faced the ultimate test and emerged stronger. Whatever challenges the cosmos held, humanity was ready. The war was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.